Choon Farm is in the business of producing eggs and delivering fresh eggs to Singaporeans. Currently, Singapore produces about 28% of eggs locally, so still 72% are imported from overseas. If you buy from local farms, it's the freshest produce you can get there. So it's not like say you spend a lot more money, but then you for nothing. It's like you spend a premium to get fresh produce that is made in Singapore. Local production is more expensive is that no matter how hard we try, we are just more expensive than imported eggs from our neighbors. So to support local farming, I urge consumers that you have to support it consistently, because it takes so long to rear a chicken, and it takes 5 months to rear a chicken, and then it lay eggs for 1 year. I couldn't be rearing chickens just for the crisis. So we need consistent support from consumers to help local farmers keep up the local production. It will only be there if you support it consistently. Farmers are a very special breed of people. They're very used to handling situations. We have like 1 million chickens on the farm. So every now and then we deal with situations happening all the time. But I would say like COVID-19 really brings situation handling to a whole new level. Every day we are faced with new situations, not just one, maybe a couple. We can be like running out of feed ingredients, we can be running out of packaging materials or labels, or like a new government regulations just comes out, and then suddenly we are short of manpower. So it's really like every day we have to deal with a new situation. One point of time we were running out of a key feed ingredient. So fortunately, I think we have to thank the government, because ESG is working very hard round the clock. Every day is like we have a direct liaison officer. We could speak to them like what issues we face that day. Day to day we face new issues, and at one point in time we're running so short of a key ingredient that we have to go to them and say, can you help us find leads to find this ingredient, because suddenly I think it's creating a lot of, in COVID there's creating a lot of shipping bottlenecks. Usually the most economical source of ingredient would be from Malaysia, and when Malaysia goes into MCO, some ingredients, because of transportation, because of government regulations or some other issues, they just couldn't be delivered in time. And for some feed ingredients, if we don't have the feed ingredients, I think if we have a shortage of that, there's an imbalance of the nutrients. Probably in 1 week's time, the eggs would not come out. So the government paid a lot of attention to eggs because it's such a necessary ingredient in a lot of recipes. So through the link up of ESG, we managed to buy the ingredients direct to the feed majors. Usually we don't even talk to the feed majors because we are just a very, very small user. So I think ESG, through its connections, link up with the feed majors, and then we were able to get alternate sources from Thailand, from Vietnam within 1 or 2 weeks. So that is really thankful for the government's help. Okay, another issue that we faced was that we run out of labels. Labels were printed in Malaysia because I think a lot of packaging materials, a lot of these labeling materials, most of the companies get from Malaysia because it's the cheapest, most economical source. So at one point in time we were so low, like we were running out of labels in 1 week's time. We could of course get some labels to be printed in Singapore, but then the labels with stickers takes like 2 weeks to activate. So we really have to get creative. So at one point in time we were just printing labels without stickers. So it was like just simple 4C printing, just cut out. It's just a simple piece of paper. We were like inserting it into the packaging instead of pasting it over. So that one, being creative, we cut the lead time from 2 weeks to like 4 or 5 days. You need a lot of adaptability, a lot of creativity to solve situations that arises from COVID. I would say the safety measures put in a lot of inconveniences for us. For example, we have to put in screens in between operators when they're packing their eggs, and this reduces the efficiency of how we operate, because I think before COVID the emphasis was how to be efficient, how to use less manpower to drive down the cost of production, such that our cost of production is not so high compared to imported eggs, because only when we narrow the gap of production, then we are viable to say that we can compete head on with imported eggs just on quality and freshness, and people just pay us the small premium. But then in COVID, it's like when we put in labels instead of stickers on the packaging, we have to have additional manpower to put in the label, and then while we're packing the eggs, instead of having it pre-pasted. So we managed that because during COVID, our salespeople couldn't go around and talk to the customers, so we have to redeploy the salespeople, and they were the people who were putting in the labels into the packs. So there was a lot of redeployment of people. At the beginning of COVID, I think there were a lot of reported cases in Singapore compared to the rest of the world. So naturally, the workers, especially the foreign workers, are very concerned about working in Singapore, because they feel that I think they are getting calls from their family members to go back to their countries, because they feel that it's safer at home than to work in Singapore. So I think that is really the time when they were picking out stories from non-mainstream media. I do not know what they were picking out, but then the company has to reassure them that Singapore is doing all they can to protect workers in Singapore, and every time there's a new regulation, we have to explain to them the rationale behind them. At the beginning, we have some staff who just wanted to go back home. So I think about 2 of our staff went back home, and the rest of the staff, we managed to convince them that it's still safe to work in Singapore, it's still safe to work at our farm, and we have implemented a lot of safety measures for them. So be it the segregation of workplace, the segregation of rooms, or the putting up of screens, the buying of food for them, so that they don't need to commute out, as in they were not allowed to commute out. So of course there are a lot of needs that they need. Probably there are needs that we have to help them remit money, help them to get groceries. So we help them to buy the rice, the biscuits, the instant noodles, and just give it to them. We just get a standardized item, a package for everyone. So everyone will have a basket of goods which we think are the staples, to let the workers have confidence in working at a time of fear. An interesting thing that happened during COVID was that there were so many online courses, so many online meetings, that it actually helped our staff in a way that previously, if we were to stand our staff for such training, it would be 3 days, 5 days, one shot, they are away from their position. Sometimes we just couldn't find time for them. So I would say during this COVID period, we sent 3 of our staff for a diploma course on leadership. They managed to do it online, and they managed to do it without much disruption to their work because of all the Zoom lessons. So it is something peculiar that happened during COVID. And for some of the overseas events and conferences that sometimes we attend, it saves us the time of traveling, because previously, if we were to go to an overseas conference, again it's another 2-3 days of work at least. So I would say really technology has helped us overcome distances, and really it's more convenient for us. I think this COVID opens up a lot of new industries, because I would say a lot of entrepreneurs got a chance to supply local companies because they're being local. So from food or other services, other maybe restaurant deliveries, or some other products that usually are sourced further away outside of Singapore, it gives entrepreneurs a chance to talk with customers, which sometimes they might not even try local producers or local products. But after COVID, I'm sure that because of economics, because of the cost pressures, companies and consumers are going to move back to imported products at a lower cost again. So entrepreneurs who had a chance to showcase their products must make sure that they find a unique selling point, be it is it more dependable supplies or a different taste. They really have to get this opportunity. It's a very short time frame. In this opportunity, try to figure out like why are you relevant, and be prepared. Like once COVID blows over, be prepared for the competition that used to come in. I would say the COVID brought about some changes to the industry. So what I see is that industry players are more collaborative, because like as on our own, each company couldn't prepare for everything. So now there is a lot of collaboration, a lot of talk among industry, and also collaboration among government to see how we can overcome future crises like COVID. Alone by ourselves, we can't prepare for everything. Yeah, that's why we have to tap on our competitors, our peers in the industry, and also the government. We learn a lot from farmers all over the world. We visited a lot of overseas farms. They share with us what they have been doing, and they tell us like what technologies they've tried, what technologies they tried and didn't work out, what technologies they feel that is good. As in we before COVID, we were visiting so many farms in so many countries. Like we're just looking at the chickens, we're looking at the equipment, we're looking at how they use the equipment. This is how the farming industry evolved. As in, farmers help each other to see what equipment is useful. We have traveled extensively to Europe, I think because Europe is in the forefront of farming technologies, especially in egg laying. So we visited farms in Netherlands, in Germany, and some of the time more of the newer farms were set up in Eastern Europe. So sometimes we will travel to East Germany, we'll travel to Eastern Europe to see all the new equipment. And after adopting all this new equipment, we do get a lot of visitors from other farms around the region, like from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Taiwan, or from China. Because like once you install the latest equipment, all the farmers are curious. They just want to come and see and try to see whether they could pick up something new. We also go to like Asian countries, in Japan, in Taiwan, we talk to them. Sometimes we get some visitors. It's like when we sit down, we just talk about how are egg prices over there in your country, how are egg prices here, how is marketing being done, what are the equipments that you use, what are the breed of chickens that you're raising. So it's really through all these interactions that we learn from other farmers, because like there's nowhere else to where we can learn farming. It's through these interactions, through open conversations with other fellow farmers in other countries that we really help to develop our farming techniques and our farms. Firstly, whatever you study in school is not going to be relevant in the future. So it's not to discourage you to study. What you study is really a process to learn. It's during the journey of learning that you learn how to learn. So in your new job scope, you have to pick up a new skill and you start to learn again. So if when you go to school, be it poly or be it university, it's the process that counts. So you're learning how to learn a new skill. It's not that the degree in engineering or marketing that is important, because it's the process of how you adapt, how you learn, how you pick up new skills. So definitely when you go to a new job, it's a new environment, it's probably in a completely different field. So in that field, you still have to pick up things to learn again. It's a lifelong learning process. So be prepared to accept new things, be prepared to be adaptable, go into the industry, try to learn as much as possible, and then you will pick up new skills. It's like in farming, we're trying to learn farming from fellow farmers. I'm sure there's no course, there will be some agriculture course, some animal husbandry course that touch on the basics, but it doesn't teach you how to farm. So when I came to this industry, I'm trying to learn from fellow farmers. So that's what I mean, like you're learning as you go along. You're not learning in school about what you're supposed to do, but you're learning in school about how to pick up skills to learn. I think in the future is, I think everything changes so fast. The job will not be there 10 years later. There's so much disruption. So it's really learning how to adapt. Actually, it's not good that our environment is so structured, so regulated, and so smooth sailing. It really doesn't give our Singaporeans a chance to react to the uncertain, to the surprises. Also, the COVID period is a very special period. It probably throws out new opportunities, new markets, which are probably short-lived, because once COVID blow over, the situation changed completely. Companies may go back to their pre-COVID ways, may order from their pre-COVID suppliers because of the cost pressures, because no matter how well we try, the goods that are simple to make, that are bulky, will most probably more than not come from the least cost producing countries that are the closest to Singapore. So it's only during these times there's a small window of opportunity for you to find a new market. So you have to really try to grasp this opportunity, try to turn it into your unique selling point, and try to stay relevant and be prepared for the market to change. Also, the key thing is being nimble, being adaptable, because it's like you cannot prepare for every situation. It's more like the training, how you adapt when a situation comes out, how not to panic, how to think like what is important, what is the first thing to deal with. So we cannot prepare for everything and we cannot over prepare. So I would say that what we know, of course, we can prepare within a reasonable at a reasonable cost. But then what else that comes out, we just has to be open our eyes for surprises. If you look back throughout history, changes just keep coming. It's just that the pace what caught them off surprise is that the pace is faster. I would say definitely to a caveman there were changes, but then the pace was so slow. It's probably a few generations. But then maybe 20 years ago there were changes. The pace is probably the change of pace is probably 5 to 10 years. With digitalization, the change of pace is probably maybe 1 to 3 years. But with this COVID, the changes is every 1-2 weeks we are facing changes.